All right, so we're going to solve by factoring again. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're just talking about quadratics right now. You can factor other things that are not quadratics. When you have it in standard form like this, if you have a, hang on, let me get my, you have a negative c value, you have opposite signs. And if you have a positive c value, you have the same signs. Okay, that kind of helps you get started so as not to do weird things. Step one is always set it equal to 0, one side or the other, it doesn't matter. Then we factor, that's very specific, right? Then we set each factor equal to 0, solve for x, and then put our answers in set notation, depending on really what the expectation is for why you are factoring whenever you're factoring. But let's start with number 4. Where we had it set equal to 0, a is 1. If a is 1, then you can beautifully and very easily move to 2 little ordered pairs. Or not, I'm sorry, not ordered pairs, 2 little sets of parentheses. And then you know this is x and x. Since 63 is positive, the signs are the same. And since 16 is positive, they're both positive. That does not look like a plus sign. You may or may not have been taught to do something like the x, which you totally don't have to write down, but if it makes sense to you, that's fine. You need numbers that multiply to give you 63 and combine to give you 16, or however else you may have been taught to come up with that, because there's lots of different ways to teach it. But I need 2 numbers that are multiply to give me 63 and add to give me 9 and 7. So that's just 9 and 7, and it's that easy. If a is 1. This step 3, x plus 9 equals 0, and x plus 7 equals 0. So we get x equals a negative 9, and x equals a negative 7. And then, according to these instructions, we make a little set here, negative 9, negative 7. What your expectations would be from your professor, no idea. Maybe this is okay. Maybe just listing them is okay. Maybe they wanted an actual set. If you don't write this step here, that's okay. If you're at the point where you can skip that, just don't want to lose anybody. We all good? This should be a piece of cake. Okay, you should be saying, why in the heck are we doing this again? If that is not the case, then you need to go back and practice some more on your own. Knowing your multiplication facts is a big important thing here. All right, so what do I need to do first on 5? Move the 18, right? So 2x squared minus 16x minus 18 equals 0. What should I do next? GCF. Always try to start with that GCF so that you're not making things more difficult on yourself. You can factor out that 2. We get x squared minus 8x minus 9 equals 0. So now inside the parentheses, a is 1. So I can skip to this. I've got x and x. 9 is negative, so the signs are opposite. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me 9, but subtract to give me 8. What would that be? 1 and 9. And which one's positive? If I need a negative 8, I need a positive 1 and a negative 9. So x equals, that'll be negative 1 and 9. Okay. We okay with that? All right. So on 6, you think we want to move everything to the left or to the right? I'd move it all to the right so that that x squared is positive, right? If we move it to the left, we'd have to factor out a negative. So we're going to get 0 equals, we'll get x squared, subtract that 8x over there, so that's going to give me a negative 10x, and then plus 25. Okay. So a is 1. Once again, we can just start here. Got x and x. 25 is positive, so the signs are the same. 10 is negative, so it is minus, minus. What are my two numbers? 5 and 5, right? Which means I wouldn't have to in this case, but I could write this as x minus 5 quantity squared. Not necessary to solve it, but in other times when you factor, you might want it like that to do whatever else it is you might be doing. But either way, we're only going to have one answer, and x equals 5. Everybody good with that? Any questions at all? Okie dokie. Let's look at 7. Move everything to the left. So we get 7x squared plus 6x. When I add 1 to both sides, it zeroes out, so it equals 0 there. So I only have two terms. The first thing we always look for is what? GCF. What's my GCF here? X. So I got x, and that leaves me with 7x plus 6. Now here's where sometimes y'all start to make things up or get yourselves confused. You've got two terms that have x's in them. So I have to make this x equals 0 and this 7x plus 6 equals 0. So x equals 0 is one of my solutions. And then when I solve this, I'll get x equals negative 6 over 7. Don't forget about this guy. He gets forgot about a lot. And if this was 3x, then we'd have put 3x equals 0 and x would still equal 0. But don't forget about him. All right, so I have two answers, which is negative 6/7 and 0. And if you look back at the one right above it, because somebody asked me this earlier, like here we dealt with that x, but here this 2, we don't worry about him because he doesn't have a variable on him. So he affects what the graph looks like, but he does not affect the actual answers, your zeros. I only have two x's here, so I have two answers. I have to deal with him because it's a variable. Okay, do you see the difference there? Questions? Beautiful. All right. So 9x squared minus 49 equals 0. I'm not going to factor it like I did everything else because this is just random. But what is this called? It's a special case? Difference of squares. Good. So if both of these are perfect squares, and I can take the square root of both of them, I am going to get two binomials here. Square root of 9x squared is 3x. Square root of 49 is 7. So I fill that in. And then one of them is plus, one of them is minus. Okay. So this one gives me that x equals negative 7/3. This one gives me x equals 7/3. So my little parentheses, I could do one of two things. I could say negative 7/3 and 7/3, or I could do plus or minus 7/3. Okay. Y'all all good with those? No. Technically, they're supposed to be like least to greatest. If you don't put it in least to greatest, it wouldn't be wrong. But if it's ever given to you, most likely they will be least to greatest. That's a good question. Anything else? All right. Number 9. Y'all go ahead and do number 9 if you haven't done so already. I don't think you need me. If this is so easy, why aren't you doing it? I'm gonna make you get up there and do it for the whole class. Get over yourself. I'm tired too. If I have to do it, you have to do it. Make sure that you factor out your GCF first. And what I saw beautifully done on somebody's paper is if you can't come up with the factors right away, which sometimes it's easy to do by looking at it, and sometimes you're like, you can stare at it for a while, and the one that makes sense when somebody says it is just not popping up in your head. So just start by making yourself a little list of things. You need the like factors of 28, so we can do 1 and 28. You can do 2 and 14. 3 doesn't go in there. I can do 4 and 7. You know, and just kind of keep going until writing them down instead of staring at it can be very helpful. And you need because A is 1 here, then the signs are opposite. I know I need the two numbers to subtract to give me 3. So once I get here, you can see that I have a positive 7 and a negative 3. Okay. And you may not have needed to write anything down, but if it comes to that on one of them, you're staring at it for longer than 2 seconds, just start jotting them down and just go in as good, you know, as even as an order that you can, it'll help you. So I get x equals negative 7 and 3. What did I do? Oh yeah, where did that? Oh yeah, it's 4. I'm sorry. It has been, yeah, I've been through it today, so. I know, Renegade's gone, like I'm just stressed out. I really wanted to see if you were paying attention, so good job. I know y'all never believe that. It's okay. Are we good? Okay. Now this last one, A is not 1, and there is not a GCF. Okay? So I need to factor by grouping. I'm going to multiply the 5 times the negative 6. That's negative 30. So however you do things, if you want to do, I need to multiply to give me negative 30, add to give me negative 13. What do you think the first thing everybody thinks is? 10 and 3. Is that going to work? No, because this is negative, so the signs have to be opposite, which means I'm subtracting, and so 10 and 3 is not going to work. It'd have to be what? 15 and 2. Good. So I'm going to get 5x squared, and then I'm going to split negative 13x into negative 15x, and a positive 2x minus 6 equals 0. Okay. Then we're going to divide out of these two. I can divide that by a 5x. That leaves me with x minus 3. Out of these two, can divide out a 2. Leaves me with x minus 3. Remember, those always have to match. And then this gives me x minus 3 times 5x plus 2 equals 0. So x equals negative, whoops. I was about to write negative 5 halves, and that's why you really should write them down set equal to 0, because I caught myself. It's negative 2/5 and a positive 3. And don't forget that if you have something that is given to you in 4 terms and you need to factor it, it's actually easier than this because basically it's already split up for you, right? Because it seems like if we don't do it for a while and you end up with 4 terms, some of y'all are like, I have no idea what to do. But it's just factoring by grouping, but it's already set up for you. Okay, we good? Any questions at all? All right. So like I said, I know we've already done this, but I wanted that to be in this little foldable because we're going to do some other stuff that maybe you hadn't done in a while, and you're going to want to keep this for next semester as well, I promise you.